Hi, this is David Brannon, founder and managing lawyer here at Resla Legal. In this video, I'm going to cover a disability employment type question. That being, can my employer refuse to accommodate my disability? This is a question that often comes up for people who are off work on a sick leave or on long-term disability and who are transitioning back to work, and there can be some tension there between you and the employer. So after watching this video, you will know when and if your employer can refuse to accommodate your disability. And if you like this video, hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us your comments. We love those comments. Can my employer refuse to accommodate my disability? The starting point for this is to know that there are laws in each province and federally, depending on how your employer is regulated, that are human rights laws. Human rights laws make it illegal for an employer to discriminate against people who have disabilities. As part of that, there is a positive duty. That means an action that needs to be taken by employers, that they have a duty to accommodate anyone with employees with disabilities to the point of undue hardship. So what that means is that employers, if they have an employee who becomes disabled and needs some type of an accommodation just means a reasonable change in the workplace to allow the person with the disability to be able to work. That might just mean getting them a better chair, modifying their workplace in some way to accommodate their limitations. It could be allowing them to work with bigger, if they're visually impaired, bigger, typefaces and things like this. So it's some change in the workplace that will allow the employer, enable them to actually do the work on a full-time basis or whatever. Sometimes the accommodations might be to allow part-time work or more rest periods and things like that. Employers have an obligation and a duty to accommodate employees who have a permanent disability. It's not unlimited. It is only to the point of undue hardship. So when we think of this question, can they refuse to accommodate your disability? In theory, some employers could, if the accommodations necessary to allow you to work would cause undue hardship for the employer. Now, if you're dealing with a very wealthy, large multinational company as your employer, it's very hard for them to show that there would be an undue hardship in most cases to do some type of accommodations, but it's conceivable that it could. If you have smaller employers, a mom and pop type business, much easier for them to show that to do the accommodations you need would be undue hardship. So that is something to keep in mind. Now, another angle at this is sometimes it all depends on how this is framed and referenced. Sometimes you may perceive it as them refusing to accommodate you, but from their point of view, they may be seeing it as that you're not giving them enough information to know what accommodations are necessary or for them to figure out if they could accommodate you. This is a common tension that arises when some employees do not want to give a lot of information out about what their illness is or the type of accommodations they need, or your doctor is doing an inadequate job of explaining what the limitations are or what the accommodations the employer would need to meet. So you can get into these situations where from your point of view, it seems like they're refusing, but from their point of view, they don't have enough information to know. Keep in mind that employers have a duty, an obligation, a competing duty and obligation to make sure there's a safe workplace for you and for other employees. So they can refuse to allow you to come back until they can properly evaluate what accommodations would we have to make for it to be safe for this worker to come back or for their coworkers. And if they don't feel like you're giving them enough information, that's grounds for them to refuse. Now, they can do that on a good faith basis. Some employers may play games with this, and this is a way they may try to kind of cause problems with the process by trying to get you to give more and more information, but just know that that could be something there. So in any event, if there's disputes that arise here, usually they're going to be resolved directly through the employer. And if you can't resolve it there, then it would go to the Human Rights Tribunal of your province or to the Federal Human Rights Tribunal, depending on your situation. Hopefully that gives you a little more insight here on when an employer can refuse to accommodate you. It would have to be a situation where there's undue hardship. However, in my experience, most of these accommodation situations, it's more around not enough information going back and forth. And so sometimes that can be easily fixed, but you do have the right to go to the tribunal if you need to. That's all for now. I'll see you back here next time.